30 militants, but it's the havoc which has been heaped on Palestinians that really has the world concerned. Women and children killed, shortages of food, water, power, and medicine, thousands homeless, even missing.
Fox's Greg Palkut in Tel Aviv, Israel. A report from Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee finds significant circumstantial evidence that the coronavirus that's been spreading around the world leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China. California Congressman Devin Nunes tells Fox if you look at reporting from around the world on the origins of the virus,
all signs point to the lab. That's all we really have to go on because our intelligence community, once again, has failed us.
The Chinese government claims the virus occurred naturally, jumping to a human from some other species. 35 House Republicans joined Democrats passing a bill to create a commission to investigate the January 6th attack at the Capitol. Republican leadership opposes the idea. 2 former Colorado police officers now face charges for how they handled a woman with dementia during her arrest last year.
73-year-old Karen Garner suffered arm injuries after 2 Loveland officers, Austin Hopp and Daria Jalali, arrested her for leaving a store without paying. Prosecutors say Hopp covered up excessive force use, while Jalali never reported it. Sarah Schauke, an attorney for the family,
"This is not an excessive force case. It's torture."
She accuses Loveland Police Chief Robert Ticer of being part of a cover-up. Ticer says he supports the counts against the now former officers who resigned in April.
Fox's Gernal Scott. America's listening to Fox News.
At Peter Millar, we're devoted to elevating your casual everyday style. This season, our clothing channels a more relaxed look and feel, with the same exceptional craftsmanship that has always inspired us. Discover the new face of sophisticated casual with Peter Millar. Browse the entire collection today at petermillar.com and explore all new designs for spring. Get free shipping, effortless returns, and receive a complimentary gift with your purchase at petermillar.com/foxnews. petermillar.com/foxnews.
National Guard troops could be replaced on the southern border this fall.
Approximately 4,000 troops are scheduled to depart the southern border by September 30th, but that could change after a request from the Homeland Security Department. The Military Times reports they could be replaced with active duty service members, but Pentagon spokesman John Kirby wouldn't confirm that, saying, "I won't speculate on what the answer to the request will be or how it will be sourced." Former President Trump sent active duty troops to the border when he declared a national emergency. President Biden has canceled the emergency. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
Millions of people in Texas and Louisiana are under flash flood warnings for a couple more days.
Another day of heavy rain will bring the risk of flooding over the Gulf Coast and Mississippi Valley through Saturday. More wet weather over saturated ground will be a major concern. Strong to severe thunderstorms will be possible for sections of the northern and central plains with large hail, damaging winds, and isolated tornadoes. Late season snow is in the forecast for the higher elevations over the Northwest, the Northern Rockies, and the mountains of California. Dry weather, hot temperatures, and gusty winds will continue to fuel the risk of wildfire danger for the Great Basin and the Southwest. I'm Janice Dean, Fox News.
Amazon faces more accusations of racial or gender discrimination, harassment, and retaliation.
5 women working in management positions at Amazon warehouses or corporate offices filed federal lawsuits against the online retailer, saying the company favored men over women in career opportunities and retaliated after they complained.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Everyone in a bustling Chinese parade is attempting to elude pursuers. Newly discovered cave paintings suggest early man was battling a lot of inner demons, and a xylophonist is shredding it. This Tuesday, FBI officials disclosed details of a disturbing al-Qaeda plot to just kick back, relax, and savor the inevitable collapse of the United States. Intelligence agencies confirmed the massive coordinated plan involves terrorist cells across the globe, training specifically to take a load off and unwind as America's political infighting, class divides, moral indolence, and environmental self-destruction gradually tear the nation apart.
Our righteous warriors will devote our time to relaxing and really soaking in the infidel self-destruction. America's cities will be reduced to ruins. The economy will come to a standstill. And we, the blessed of Islam, will kick back, put our feet up, and enjoy the show. It's going to be great.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Oh, and one of these mics was live the entire time. Yeah. Well, it is called Free Talk Live, so hey, why not? Some of you listening may or may not have heard some of the subject matter that we have in store for you tonight.
Secret, secret, secret.
Secret, secret, I got a secret.
Oh.
Name that song. Anyone?
Mr. D'Arrigato.
Yeah, it's Mr. Roboto. How did you know that?
I just know that song.
You're not even, you are an 80s fan, even though you're not even old enough.
No, but that's a good song.
Wow, okay. Well, yeah, it's Mr. Roboto by Styx, by the way.
That's a very good
STYX
80s song.
I have to say, I wouldn't ask your age, but
she's
there's no way.
4?
Yeah, 24.
Okay. Well, you know, you don't look a day older than 24.
Hey.
Straw.
That's so rude. No, I'm just kidding.
This is Free Talk Live. In case you're wondering, we are a live call-in radio program. Generally, we speak from the perspective of freedom, prosperity, and peace. Some folks call us a libertarian-oriented talk show, and that may be true. We're also an anarchist-oriented talk show. We're also a voluntarist.
What's the difference?
And, you know, I don't act like there's so many... It's semantics, really, is what the difference is between these terms. There's big L libertarian, which is the Libertarian Party goers. There's small L libertarian, which is people who philosophically agree that freedom should come first, right? Or agree that the non-aggression principle should be a large part of your life, or is at least a good start on how to go ahead and behave with the rest of the human race. Voluntarism, kind of the same thing.
Yep.
It's just the belief that all human interactions should be consensual. You should get and obtain consent for whatever it is you're going to do with other human beings. As long as somebody consented to whatever it is you're doing, far out, solid, right on. Go ahead and do it.
Hey, you thought criminal.
Right. So these things are sort of the perspective that we generally come from here on Free Talk Live. There's a variety of opinions with the different hosts and co-hosts that we have.
That's for sure.
And we try to keep it that way. But if you want to call, and I see somebody's calling right now, you can dial 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160 is how you call in to this show and potentially get on the air. You do have to wait on hold until we screen you and all that kind of stuff. So it's just like almost any other show. Every now and again, we may take an unscreened call. I generally don't do that. Some of the other hosts do, just so you know what you're in for tonight. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Lord Reverend Dr. Captain Kickass, and joining me,
it's Bonnie.
And Chris.
So many of our listeners have been at least made aware of something called the Crypto 6. And if you're not aware of what the Crypto 6 is, you can go to thecrypto6.com and find out a whole bunch more. And I'll talk to you about the Crypto 6 a little more throughout the program. But Ian Freeman is one of the Crypto 6. These are 6 people who were arrested for what appears to be, on the surface, exchanging Bitcoin.
Yep.
Personally, person to person. oh, you have some Bitcoin? Can I get some from you? Will you trade me for it? I'll trade you this. And that's what they've been arrested for.
I mean, it does get a little bit more complicated because
it does. There were some vending machines involved, and
it's not even that. It's the fact that certain people did not bow down to the government, the masters.
Well, now you're really stepping into it, and I hope you're wearing boots. But yes, go on.
It's politics. It's politics is what it comes down to at the end of the day. It's not Bitcoin specifically. That was just the excuse that they used to arrest a bunch of people here in Keene and in New Hampshire who are liberty activists.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
And it's still my belief that they can't do it overtly, and so they must do it sort of in a roundabout workaround way. It is my opinion that one of their targets is, of course, this very program that you're listening to right now.
Absolutely.
We are perhaps the largest voice of freedom, if not the largest voice of freedom, or at least one of. This particular talk program was recently rated one of the 25 most important talk radio programs in the United States by Talkers Magazine. So we know folks are listening. We're on somewhere around 200 radio stations, plus we're streaming globally on the internet over at lrn.fm and freetalklive.com. We're also on a couple of satellite stations that the founder of this program, Ian Freeman, who we're going to talk about in just a minute, has set up to be broadcast to, particularly the parts of the world who are under what we might call oppressive regimes, so that they can hear the message of freedom and liberty and know that
and we're not
exists.
just talking about North America, correct?
No, we're talking about around the globe.
Okay.
Satellite channels, right? So like Africa, for example.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
there are portions of Africa that can receive the satellite broadcast
we're talking
of Free Talk Live.
dictatorships and all sorts.
Sub-Saharan Africa.
Yes, thank you.
Stuff.
So, at any rate, this show, we have fun with it. We joke around a bit. We try to keep it a little light. We talk about some very serious things, so I try to interject some humor every now and again. But we kicked off last night's program with an update on Ian Freeman, and that update was just to say that there was another hearing that we had to participate in over a Zoom call because, well, the government's still not allowing in-person trials or the public to show up to a trial due to COVID. As much of a joke that is. The state already lifted all the mask mandates and all that kind of stuff. There's a few cities in New Hampshire that still have local mask ordinances that I'm told the Keene one is actually lifting.
Yeah, even
on
Keene's,
June 1st.
On June 1st.
Even Keene's going to be lifted here real soon.
So,
yay.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Yeah. Free face it, people.
I mean,
raw dog that air.
I haven't been wearing a mask to go shopping anywhere in Keene since I moved here, but I have to wear a mask at work because they require us to not necessarily the customers.
I don't know if I'm the only one, but I have yet to put a mask on.
At all?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Correct. The only thing that I would say is that there was a point in time when I was at home, right? And I was thinking about, well, if I have to wear a mask, what kind of a mask can I manufacture? Because I have some arts and crafts skills, right? I have basic leatherworking skills. I can sort of sew a little bit and that kind of a thing.
Oh my God, a leather mask. That'd be awful.
I was considering manufacturing some sort of a mask that would actually it had like little hooks that would hang off of my glasses here and just cover my face. Because I got this giant beard, right? And when you put a mask over it, it just looks dumb, right? If you ever see a guy with a giant long beard, a ZZ Top style beard, and he's got the mask on, the beard it just looks weird. Looks like he's carrying around a little rodent under his mask or something.
If you had it just hanging off your glasses, it would be like a beard loincloth.
Yes, exactly. That was kind of the idea. I never actually manufactured it, but I held a couple pieces of fabric up to my face. I kind of figured out what kind of hooks I wanted to get, and I was trying to engineer a thing, right?
I still find the masks
but I never wore one out to go shopping or go to a restaurant or walk around. I saw somebody today walking down the street. I left our dinner. We had dinner tonight where we paid Bitcoin for our dinner, and walking down the street is just an old guy. He's walking with maybe his wife or something. Wife doesn't have a mask on. He does.
Yeah.
They're just walking down the street, broad daylight, mask on. You don't need...
Give him a break. Maybe he just doesn't want to talk to her.
I think the funniest thing
thought of that.
is not even the mask so much, but as just the type of masks that some people will wear. People are literally, and I don't know if people realize this, but they're literally putting underwear on their face. I mean, it's literally made. Hanes actually took like whitey tighties.
Makes you feel good all under.
They literally changed that process into making masks. And it's literally underwear that you're wearing on your face. It's just so silly.
I don't want this show to turn into Mask Talk Live. We've been criticized a little bit for that.
Underwear talk live.
Yeah.
Thong or not to thong? That is the question.
And loincloths. Oh my.
Loincloths, oh my. So at any rate, yesterday we kicked off the show with an update on Ian Freeman, who is, I mean, he's one of two people still held hostage by the federal government. Nobody. That's a person. That's a person. His name is Nobody, formerly known as Rich Paul. They are both still in jail. So the other four have gotten out on some sort of bail, but Ian Freeman and the person named Nobody both remain hostages of the federal government at this point without having been convicted of anything. And it's been well over 2 months. We'll have more about that coming up on Free Talk Live.
The Terran Federation and the Terran League have been killing each other for decades. Sheltered, wealthy, and light years from the threat, the members of the 500 have no interest in changing that. When Rear Admiral Terrence Murphy is given governorship of a backwater system, a risk-free path to wealth and power is his for the taking. But Murphy is a man of honor, duty, and responsibility. He intends to stop the killing, whatever the cost. Governor, by David Weber and Richard Fox, from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Yes, you are listening to Free Talk Live. Just in case you were wondering what radio program you've tuned into, it's called Free Talk Live. You can find out more about us at freetalklive.com. We are a live radio call-in program where you can call, talk about whatever's on your mind. Whatever subject we're talking about, doesn't matter. You could change it. You can talk about what we're talking about. That's great, too. Or anything we've talked about in the past. That's fine as well. We've got some calls on hold, but the telephone number is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160 if you'd like to get your voice heard on somewhere around 200 radio stations, plus the internet, plus a couple of satellite channels globally. So in the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain. I'm your host. Joining me,
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
We've been talking about an update on Ian Freeman, who is one of the Crypto Six. Last night, we said that he did have a bail hearing, a third hearing. He was at first denied bail, then he appealed it, and now he apparently was granted bail. And as of today, the order was actually signed. We were able to see the order itself, and I actually downloaded a copy and read it. Not read it, the website, but read the copy of the order for his release. The Ian Freeman still remains behind bars, however, and the reason for that is because the release order has a bunch of stipulations, and that is that a guy who's his roommate is being forced to remove his personal firearms.
Legally owned. All
completely legal, 100% above board, that kind of a thing. And he may actually, I don't know, he's going to have to make some decisions. They want him to remove his guns and then tell them, the government wants him to tell them where he moved them to. And then if he moves them again, they want it to be able to be tracked. Now, they're violating his rights in that respect. So
I think so too.
I'm curious to see how this all turns out, but there's a bunch of things within the order that need to be satisfied. I think for whatever reason, they're asking Ian to participate in some sort of a rehab program, I believe an outpatient rehab, according to the order, which...
Wait, did that stand in the order, in the final order?
I'm pretty sure it was checked in the final order that I read.
I didn't read it I didn't notice it when I read over it, though.
I don't know the guy to be an addict of any kind.
No.
You know what I mean?
It was definitely in fact, the order, the proposed order for sure.
Yeah.
From the
in fact, there was
side.
a time when he and the other co-founder of the show, Mark, and myself, we'd host a show together and we'd go and have a beer after the show. And that stopped because Ian's like, yeah, I'm just not going to drink anymore. And then it was just me and Mark that would go, and then Mark stopped drinking as well. So now I got to be like George Thorogood and drink alone with nobody else. Me and my good buddy Weiser.
Nobody's in jail.
Not nobody. No. Nobody might have a beer with me, actually, if he was out. But nobody also remains in jail. And for those of you who don't know, there was a man in New Hampshire named Rich Paul. He changed his name legally to Nobody.
I was there. I can vouch for that.
And then he ran for governor. So that, nobody for governor, right?
I got to vote for Nobody for governor.
It was great pastiche. So at this point, Ian Freeman still remains behind bars. It's after 5 p.m. on a Friday. I imagine the government isn't going to move quickly. So at best, if the government does move quickly, we might see him Monday. But this could take a week. It could take 2 weeks for all of the particulars of his bond order to be satisfied. That includes, of course, somebody coming up with and delivering $200,000. for the bail, and or he needs to pledge property. And either way, that's going to take some paperwork and some, people signing stuff, multiple people. And so it's all going to be very time consuming. So I have high hopes, but low expectations. So,
I got clarity on Ian going to rehab because I was interested too.
Okay, can you hold that? Because we got some calls I want to get to.
Yep.
Let's at first go to Andrew, who's calling from Tennessee. Andrew, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Captain.
Of course.
I'm a lifetime liberty lover and freedom lover, and hope to keep it that way.
How come you're in Tennessee then, not New Hampshire?
Well, I started out in Washington about 8 months ago, so I've been moving my way back across.
You're getting closer. Are you coming to Fork Fest, by the way?
I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to Fork Fest, but
Okay.
I have been to the White. I have stayed on Mount Washington, and I've seen in July when there's still snow on the top of it. So, I have been in that area, and it's just as beautiful as the Northwest.
Oh,
just in a different kind of way.
Yeah, it certainly is. I've spent some time in Tennessee as well. What were you calling about tonight, though?
Well, you actually segued me pretty well. I actually had communication on my mind, and I feel like that a lot of issues we have with each other is, I think it is our communication and words and how we use words, and I think the government has used words, to mean multiple things. And I think they've confused a lot of people as to the meanings of words.
Oh, that is a fact.
Yeah. Multiple definitions for the same thing, depending on what context you're reading it in, and particular legalese.
Well, and actually, I don't have any way to prove this, but I've heard that the Native Americans used to refer to the white man as speaking with a forked tongue, and they used multiple words for different definitions of the word. So I would encourage people to just, try to communicate better and understand that the words you use are important, and the context in which you use them are even more important. So
Ian has been really serious about this recently because he read a book called The Four Agreements, and one of the agreements, I think it might be number 1, is choose your words impeccably. And it's one of the 4 big tenets on how to live a good life.
Yeah, we have another caller. His name is Jet. He's very big on the language we use. We use the word government often because, well, it's common, right? When you say government, people sort of have a vague idea that there's this institution of people called the government, and people are brainwashed into believing they're necessary for reasons, right? Because they haven't been taught how to think logically. But we'll use that terminology. He's big on us not using that. He wants us to talk about them in the actual terms, right? They're tyrants. The
person is a person.
Mm-hmm.
At the top of the list, a person is a person. So even if somebody got to be in a bad government job, at the end of the day, no more than somebody that would come and rob me the same way the government comes and robs me. I can't really, it's hard for me to tell the difference between which one is, any different, because they're kind of one and the same.
That's why I've been
kind of one and the same.
Yeah, agreed, Andrew. Thanks for the call tonight. Go ahead, Bonnie.
I was going to say, as I've been saying since this happened, that Ian was kidnapped, because it's no different than if people just came and broke into our house and kidnapped my boyfriend.
Right, and I refer to the raid here on the studio and the other properties as a terrorist attack, because that's what it is. They're the only ones who did damage to any people or property.
Karl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Karl Watner, Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Karl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Karl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
If you're David, a few well-chosen words can help level the playing field with Goliath. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. Recently, I saw a Yellow Pages ad for an appliance repair company, and the headline read, "Why wait for Sears?" If you're going to the Yellow Pages, the Dead Sea Scrolls of advertising, you're ready to buy right now. So this is an attention-grabbing message. And how about the plumber whose radio ad says, "Call by noon Thursday, and we'll be there Saturday at no extra cost"? Smart guy. Most plumbing firms give their crew the weekend off. This one gives them Sunday and Monday off. In the words of a respected advertising executive, cut to the chase, make it quick, and tell me exactly what you can do for me, especially if you're looking for work. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Free Talk Live.
If I was freezing to death in the car with the keys on the floor, I'd still been charged in New York. In any case, so what happened with me was, they threatened me with 4.5 years in a state prison, and this is what led me to the ideas of liberty. That I say, this is crazy. I didn't hurt anybody. What's going through my head is, this can't happen. I have to stop them. I should just go out blasting.
Thanks for not doing it, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I
like hanging out with you.
It's going swimmingly. So this whole living thing there's a lot to it. But when I got involved with the Libertarian Party, I was kind of looking, the idea was I was looking for something to die for, frankly, and I found something to live for.
Aww.
As I'm going forward, I'm finding things that I can do instead of getting myself killed. And this is, the gist of the story of how the Libertarian Party saved my life, that this was my introduction to all of these things.
Interesting.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Yeah, come on and tune in to Free Talk Live 7 days a week from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. 98.76% of the time, we're broadcasting a live program here on Free Talk Live. There's a couple of exceptions, like if some of us go to, say, a freedom-oriented festival and we can't broadcast live from, or we're attending Porcupine Freedom Festival, or better yet, Fork Fest, which we'll tell you more about later in the show. Other than that, it's a live program, 7 nights a week. The call-in number is 603-283-6160. We've got calls holding. We'll get to those momentarily. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
Bonnie, you said you had some clarification on the order and something that I had mentioned about what is or isn't allowed. Can you clarify?
So in part of Ian's conditions for release, it says the defendant shall, and it's letter I in number 7 on this document.
And does it have a little check or a dot?
Yep, it's checked, and it says meaningfully participate in a program of inpatient or outpatient substance abuse treatment, which may include, that's what it says. Mm-hmm. It says that twice.
It's poorly written.
Which may include medication-assisted treatment if deemed advisable by the supervising officer, and do not discontinue any treatment program without the prior approval of the supervising officer. So I guess it depends on what the parole officer says about Ian, who is not a drug addict, has no issues with drugs.
I predict Ian's going to go into this rehab program, and he'll end up being more of a counselor for the other people in the rehab program than a participant himself, because he knows about these things. He knows how rehab programs work. He's befriended people. He's recommended folks to go to rehab when he thought they needed that kind of a thing. So he's not unfamiliar. I suspect that he will be more of an assistant to the rehab counselor than he will be like anybody who actually needs rehab for anything.
This is kind of funny because I know Ian as a person who absolutely will advise people as his role as a minister of the Shire Free Church.
Exactly.
In these things. So, to say that he needs rehab is like
literally silly.
I don't think so.
Like it is federal government though, and they think that like some things that he apparently admitted to are like the end of the world.
If you had 3 drinks in one day, you're an alcoholic.
Oh my gosh.
Think about that for a moment.
I've done that.
Well, in which day? Like Tuesday or
on any
Saturday?
single day. If you've ever had 3 drinks,
oh my god,
in one day,
what if you're like a 19-year-old?
You're an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Every single college student is an alcoholic based on the definition that the government has for like what constitutes alcoholic.
And what's Captain? I'm just kidding.
He's a super alcoholic.
No, I transcend alcoholism. Alcoholism is afraid of me.
I know. I've never thought Captain had an issue with drinking. He just likes to drink.
I'm an alcohol enthusiast.
He's very responsible with it.
Right?
So.
How many occasions did you miss Free Talk Live as a result of your alcoholism?
0.
And yet the government thinks he's an alcoholic.
Oh yeah, the government does think you're an alcoholic.
Well, the government can think whatever they want, and I will give them, a digit somewhere in the middle of my hand. At any rate, we could talk more about Ian and his upcoming hopeful release and or the stipulations around that, but we have phone calls to get to. Let's get to Major Payne, who's calling from Michigan. Major, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, good evening, gents and Bonnie. Just want to call in about the insanity that the CDC has released today.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that this has something to do with farm animals in some way.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it's quite foul, actually.
You could put a feather in your cap for that one.
Yes. Well, they tell me I'm chicken, but I don't run from foul things.
Putting your beak where it doesn't belong.
Anyway, yes. They say we should stay away from our backyard buddies that provide us breakfast because they are providing salmonella for us, even though they're not dead and on the cutting board yet. So we should not fondle, nor hug, nor kiss our chickens.
Oh my God!
Have you ever kissed a chicken?
Now, I mean,
what anybody you ever met kissed a freaking chicken?
I have to say, wasn't this already illegal prior to the pandemic and at the federal level? And
I mean, to kiss them,
what you do in your own chicken coop.
I think that depends on which end you kiss them on.
Chris will stand up for you to kiss
I'm not
your
going
chicken.
to advocate for people kissing their chickens, but like what you do in your own chicken coop is your business.
Oh my goodness.
All right, I got a good chicken joke for you.
All right, go ahead.
You got to hear this one. All right, what's the five nasty things about being a chicken?
Hang on,
somebody shows up and steals your newborn every morning. Your old man's a real cock. The neighbors on one side are pigs. The neighbors on the other side are a bunch of wisecrackers. And to top it all off, you got to eat with your pecker.
Oh my God.
Hey, thanks for the call tonight, Major Payne. That was outstanding. Yeah, so just to be clear, everybody, no more hugging, kissing, or fondling your chickens before you go to bed at night, according to the CDC. That's the Center for Division and Control.
If they try to extend this to animals such as dogs, I don't care. Like, I love kissing Coconut's soft little forehead.
Okay. I know. I have to ask, how are they going to enforce this?
Are
they going to
I'm from the Department of Chicken Fondling.
I mean, the city of Keene does demand that you license your dogs, and I haven't written them back yet. I forgot, but I'm going to write them back and say, I'll give you money to license my dog or get a permit for my dog when you can prove that, one, my dog is Coconut is indeed a dog.
I'm sorry, Bonnie, we have evidence that you've been kissing and hugging the chickens. You're going to have to come with us.
You know, I've heard of cameras in the bedroom and like forced cameras by the government in your bedroom, but I've never heard of it in your chicken coop.
I've never heard of that. That's awful.
Old MacDonald had a farm and the FBI was watching. Wait, no, that's not how the song goes. How do they enforce that? How do you?
I don't know.
People in the middle of nowhere in the country with their chickens right now are like not scared.
Also, when did the CDC become an authoritative force of the government? Recently, obviously, but like prior to, say, COVID, for example, the CDC was just some government agency that tracked things. They're like, we need to know how quickly, Ebola is spreading in, whatever foreign country, right? Africa or whatever, right?
And country?
Continent? Whatever.
Africa.
I was just being mean. I'm sorry. Continue.
You need to get some sleep. All right. So anyway, the CDC used to be this, entity where they would just provide some facts and figures about stuff, right? But like now they're issuing like stuff that people are obeying somehow.
Guidelines.
Yeah. Like when did the CDC become this dictatorial power in the United States?
I'm sorry, but this morning I was just in a really bad mood because, like Captain alluded to, I didn't sleep last night, and I was standing on the porch talking to our friend who does construction work across the street, and some people passed us walking together, walking their dog, wearing masks, and I just couldn't help it anymore. I was just like, don't you think that's just psychotic at this point? Like, they're not even following the guidelines. I just said it loudly to my friend, our friend, so that way I knew they would hear it. And I just don't care anymore. Yeah, I was being really catty. I'm just so over it. I'm tired of like these people who want to walk around wearing muzzles to the government and giving the government enough power to come kidnap my boyfriend. I'm literally so over it.
Yeah,
that's like the smallest part of the brick, and all the bricks together build the house of a government that can kidnap your boyfriend in the middle of the night, and you won't see him for 2 months.
Or anybody they want. We covered last night the new department that's being established. Straight out of Minority Report, the government is establishing a department of pre-crime.
Oh yeah, pre-crime.
And
that sounds like
pre-thought
1984.
Wait, what?
Pre-thought crime. Oh my God.
More coming up on Free Talk Live.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Hey, you are going to love the movie Victimless Crime Spree. It's hilarious, heartwarming, and carries a ton of inspiring freedom messages. Feeling down about the lack of liberty in your life? You need to put on this film with some friends and have a good laugh. It's a true story about me and my friends in New Hampshire living free, singing, dancing, and getting arrested. Of course, it's all on video, and the bad guys, the cops, judges, bailiffs, and sheriffs, they all play their part like it's out of a movie or something. You would think we scripted the whole thing, but it's real life. Go ahead and have a watch, and if it's been a while, have another look. I guarantee you'll notice things now that you didn't notice before. And the best part is that you're going to walk away feeling a renewed sense of your own power. You are the master of your destiny, and you will be free in your lifetime. Victimless Crime Spree.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
I feel like you're like a furniture set in like a Betty Boop cartoon. That's what they would do.
I was imitating Freddie Boom Boom Jackson from Welcome Back, Kotter, way back in the day, for those of you old enough to remember that particular television show. He used to go, boom, 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 boom. And they're like, oh, do you play bass? He's like, no, I just like doing this. Boom, 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 boom. No, This is Free Talk Live, for those of you wondering what the heck's going on, who we are, and what we're talking about. We are a live call-in radio talk program where you can take control of the airwaves, talk about whatever's on your mind. We've got a call holding. We'll get to that in just a moment. If you want to get on the air, dial 603-283-6160. You could talk about anything. You have to talk about what we're talking about. You can talk about stuff we talked about in the past, but you could change the subject if you want. Talk about whatever's on your mind. It's called Free Talk Live. In the studio, I am your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
it's Bonnie
and Chris.
And before we get to the call, I want to tell you that Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now, click on Get Started right at the top of the page. Once you do that, you will find a cornucopia of information neatly organized by your needs. There's not really a cornucopia there, but it's a figurative term. There is no longer an excuse for you to be ignorant of this very important and world-changing information. If you're already a knowledgeable cryptocurrency user, please check out news.bitcoin.com, where you can get the latest headlines of all of the news that's relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a very slick and easy-to-use website. Please visit bitcoin.com. All right. Without further ado, I know you want to talk about Ian some more, and we'll get back to that. But let's go to BC, calling from New Jersey. BC, you are on Free Talk Live.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, so I had a question about libertarianism, but first of all, I just got to say, that last segment, you guys are such a hoot. I mean, that girl, I mean, she just contributes so much, and the guy there, I mean, your humor takes up so much space, you know? And the guy, the other guy, the third guy there, you could be an understudy to Seinfeld. Let me tell you something. You're just you just fit the mold, you know. And not on the show, but an understudy. So
We largely are a program about nothing, so we take that Seinfeld seriously.
It's funny because you got my reference. Very good. You libertarians, you're always on with the cultural milieu of society. But let me ask you something.
Sure.
So I have a question about libertarianism, but this whole your guy, your two guys. I mean, one guy's name is Nobody, so I don't know why you're so mad. I mean, nobody's in prison, so why do you care? Nobody's there. But this other guy,
I'll be happy when nobody gets out.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. Nobody's going away for a long, long time. But this Ian character, it says that he was laundering millions of dollars in Bitcoin over the Church of Satan, the Church of the Invisible Hand, the Reformed Satanic Temple, and the
That is actually just not factual.
It's alleged.
That's not being alleged, though. It's not billions. He said billions, right?
Oh, it's definitely not billions.
No, I said millions.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Ma'am, I'm talking to the men. I'm talking to the men. You know, I know your ears are probably full of female thoughts, but let the men talk. I said million.
Oh my God, he's literally an incel.
Seriously?
This is like the third incel that's
All right,
called
so,
while I've been on the show.
hang on. Okay, you've identified that. So what? You're right. It does say that. It claims that he allegedly exchanged. I believe the number is like $10 million in value.
Yeah. So what's the defense here? And then afterwards, I have a question about libertarianism. But how do you defend yourself from scamming?
Well, I'll speak.
Your viewers and your listeners.
I'll respond.
Dollars?
I'll respond from a moral perspective. There was no victim.
No. How about you respond from a legal one?
Well, I'm not a lawyer for one, so I can't.
Yeah, I know you're a
respond as a lawyer.
So I can respond from a legal opinion. I'm also not a lawyer, so this isn't legal fact. But here in New Hampshire, Bitcoin has been designated as code, right? Computer code. And because code is letters and numbers written down, that makes it speech. And so Bitcoin, cryptocurrency in general, is free speech. Now, if somebody exchanged United States dollars for some computer code, then all they did was give somebody some speech.
So if I gave Bitcoin for underage child porn, which I'm sure you all do, that would just be an expression of free speech?
What would make you sure that we all do that?
You're a libertarian.
Wait, what did he ask? If he
do you have any evidence
if he
of
did
this?
What for child porn? I didn't even understand what he said. He's like mumbling.
So besides
Well, it sounds like he's asking how he could get child porn for cryptocurrency, which I don't know the answer to.
I don't know the answer to that either.
No. That's what you chose to hear, which is very convenient. But I said in the situation where someone gave Bitcoin for child porn, you would just view that as free speech.
Are you accusing Ian of having done that? Because nobody in the Crypto Six has been accused of doing that. Well, then what's his point? I don't get the point.
He's not. He's a troll. Is his point? He's a troll. Is his point? So
when did you become involuntarily celibate?
I'm going to go ahead and put him on hold so that we can minimize the disruptions here. So New Hampshire has already ruled that cryptocurrency is speech. And so if somebody exchanges any kind of thing, whether it's barter, if I trade a motorcycle for a computer program, right? I need the newest version of Windows, right? That's the same exact thing. Now, there's some vending machines in question where people could come and put some money in and get some of this computer code out of it. And these legally, at least according to the legal opinion that was prior to establishing this business, obtained by the church and Ian and all of that kind of thing, that said all of this stuff, and that the vending machines were no different than, say, a snack vending machine or one that vends, a can of Coca-Cola, for example. So
if you bought anything, then used that thing you bought, say it was a motorcycle. You bought a motorcycle, and then you use that motorcycle to trade it for something illegal like child porn. You could do that with anything. It doesn't have to be Bitcoin. It's not like Bitcoin is this key to child porn.
Right. And in fact, if you want to look at the largest currency used to transact in anything illegal, whether it's child porn, whether it's drugs, whether it's, you name the illegal thing, it's going to be the USD.
Actually, it's kind of humorous because the biggest distributor of child porn
and
is
thanks
the
for the
United
call
States.
tonight, BC.
The biggest distributor of child porn is the United States government.
It
the
certainly
FBI
is.
explicitly.
Yep, and they have
and
come out and told everyone that.
So to criticize Bitcoin, it's like if you want to get rid of child porn, just get rid of the FBI, and you at least got rid of the biggest distributor.
Yeah, and the same thing about almost every other crime. Most rapes occur under government facilities, whether it's prisons, the military, the police department, the jails, all of that kind of thing. Most murders are committed. Most murders are committed by governments. Not individuals, governments, including the United States. Go look up democide, DEMOCIDE. The Hawaii.edu has all of the data on democide put together by Mr. Rummel, I believe is his name. And you can go and slice and dice and do whatever you need to do with that data, but it all says the same thing, and that is government is the largest committer of crimes. Right? This is where harm to an individual or property has occurred of all time in all of history by orders of magnitude.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting because there's a statistical correlation between the criminalization of pornography in general and rape, whereas basically when it's in countries that have criminalized it, rapes go up, and when they basically decriminalize it, rapes go down. So
decriminalize what?
Pornography. Not child pornography,
Yeah,
just pornography in general.
Right. Because, people are going to watch it regardless if it's legal or illegal.
It's true, but if you make it harder to get, the people who are more likely to commit
right.
rape.
Anytime you ban
anytime
a government bans anything, it results in bad things for people.
Yep.
When they did prohibition, right? People still drank. They just created an underground economy that they could never fully take over. And in fact, the government poisoned a bunch of alcohol and poisoned a bunch of people in an effort to keep people from drinking. So get off your high horse about, the USD, blah, 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 and Bitcoin is bad. No, Bitcoin is far superior to any government currency, period.
I mean, that's just like Texas banning abortions or like making abortions legal after 6 weeks. It's just going to make abortions more dangerous and
create an underground market for it.
Yep.
And you're going to create criminals out of otherwise normally upstanding people. 603-283-6160 is the telephone number if you'd like to comment on any of this. More Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is coming up.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BingBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com. Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There's talk of a ceasefire. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. There are reports that the last week and a half of fighting between Israel and Hamas militants in Gaza could be winding down. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says publicly, though, it'll take as long as it takes to stop rocket attacks into his country.
Plane after plane took off from an Israeli air base on bombing runs to Gaza, Israel claiming to have hit over 800 terror targets there and killing some 130 militants. But it's the havoc which has been heaped on Palestinians that really has the world concerned. Women and children killed, shortages of food, water, power and medicine, thousands homeless, even missing.
Fox's Greg Palkut in Tel Aviv, Israel. A report from Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee finds significant circumstantial evidence that the coronavirus that's been spreading around the world leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China. California Congressman Devin Nunes tells Fox if you look at reporting from around the world on the origins of the virus,
all signs point to the lab. That's all we really have to go on because our intelligence community, once again, has failed us.
The Chinese government claims the virus occurred naturally, jumping to a human from some other species. 35 House Republicans joined Democrats passing a bill to create a commission to investigate the January 6th attack at the Capitol. Republican leadership opposes the idea. 2 former Colorado police officers now face charges for how they handled a woman with dementia during her arrest last year.
73-year-old Karen Garner suffered arm injuries after 2 Loveland officers, Austin Hopp and Daria Jalali, arrested her for leaving a store without paying. Prosecutors say Hopp covered up excessive force use, while Jalali never reported it. Sarah Schalke, an attorney for the family,
"This is not an excessive force case. It's torture."
She accuses Loveland Police Chief Robert Ticer of being part of a cover-up. Ticer says he supports the counts against the now former officers who resigned in April.
Fox's Gunal Scott. America's listening to Fox News.
At Peter Millar, we're devoted to elevating your casual everyday style. This season, our clothing channels a more relaxed look and feel, with the same exceptional craftsmanship that has always inspired us. Discover the new face of sophisticated casual with Peter Millar. Browse the entire collection today at petermillar.com and explore all new designs for spring. Get free shipping, effortless returns, and receive a complimentary gift with your purchase at petermillar.com/foxnews. petermillar.com/foxnews.
National Guard troops could be replaced on the southern border this fall.
Approximately 4,000 troops are scheduled to depart the southern border by September 30th, but that could change after a request from the Homeland Security Department. The Military Times reports they could be replaced with active duty service members, but Pentagon spokesman John Kirby wouldn't confirm that, saying, "I won't speculate on what the answer to the request will be or how it will be sourced." Former President Trump sent active duty troops to the border when he declared a national emergency. President Biden has canceled the emergency. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
Millions of people in Texas and Louisiana are under flash flood warnings for a couple more days.
Another day of heavy rain will bring the risk of flooding over the Gulf Coast and Mississippi Valley through Saturday. More wet weather over saturated ground will be a major concern. Strong to severe thunderstorms will be possible for sections of the northern and central plains with large hail, damaging winds, and isolated tornadoes. Late season snow is in the forecast for the higher elevations over the Northwest, the Northern Rockies, and the mountains of California. Dry weather, hot temperatures, and gusty winds will continue to fuel the risk of wildfire danger for the Great Basin and the Southwest. I'm Janice Dean, Fox News.
Amazon faces more accusations of racial or gender discrimination, harassment, and retaliation.
5 women working in management positions at Amazon warehouses or corporate offices filed federal lawsuits against the online retailer, saying the company favored men over women in career opportunities and retaliated after they complained.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
This week, badly shaken researchers reported observing an osprey stalking, killing, and devouring an adult male lion in what is being called a massive food chain shakeup. Confirmation of the 3-pound marine bird consuming the 400-pound feline has biologists scrambling to determine the new predator-prey connections between the planet's billions of organisms.
We seem to be experiencing some sort of cross-species dietary free-for-all.
Scientists say that the killing of the healthy, full-grown lion by a typical osprey specimen has lent credibility to recent reports of a deer seen grazing on a nest of squirrels in Wisconsin, as well as a claim made by a group of Japanese fishermen who say they witnessed 300 million krill devouring a 40-ton humpback whale. In other news, NASA acquires the moon for an upcoming Kennedy Space Center exhibit. A radio DJ invites the whole town to some bullshit, and assuming the many universes theory of quantum mechanics is accurate, the review you've just seen will remain relevant in another reality for all eternity. For more, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
Free Talk Live.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live, as opposed to restrained, braille, pre-recorded. Would that be the opposite of Free Talk Live? I think it would.
Thought Live?
Restrained, braille, pre-recorded.
Oh, pre-recorded.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, glad I've got my creative hat on today. We are a live call-in radio talk show. The telephone number is 603-283-6160 if you'd like to get on the air. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
On March 16th of 2021, more than 2 months ago, terrorists, also known as government agencies, conspired together and raided or terrorized the Free Talk Live studio, the Bitcoin Embassy, a convenience store known as the Mighty Moose Mart, the homes of Aria DiMezzo, the home of Renee and Andy Spinella, and the home of Colleen Fordham. 6 people were kidnapped, also known as arrested. These folks are called the Crypto Six. They're taken into custody, thrown in cages. 4 of them were released on some sort of bail conditions. But Ian Freeman and nobody, formerly known as Rich Paul, both remain in custody more than 2 months later without a conviction for crimes, quote-unquote crimes, with which there was no victim. What can you do to help? Well, you can visit thecrypto6.com. There's some information there. There's links to multiple sites, and there's several ways that you can donate to the Legal Defense Fund, because the charges these people face are not a joke, and it's going to take some serious legal firepower and many experts to protect the Crypto Six from further aggression from the state. This case is very likely to set precedent that will affect the world of cryptocurrency for decades to come. You can help them in their fight for liberty and financial freedom by visiting thecrypto6.com. Again, thecrypto6.com. crypto6.com. And thank you to everybody who has donated. We appreciate that. Also, don't believe for a minute that, oh, yeah, you guys are a nationwide radio talk show. You've probably raised it. No, we haven't raised enough money because lawyers are freaking expensive.
Yeah.
Unbelievably so.
And it makes it even more expensive because of the charges that each have been assigned in order to increase the cost of defense. There is a conspiracy charge attached to each of these individuals, and that means that they can't just use one lawyer or one set of lawyers, but each individual has to have their own lawyer or a set of lawyers to defend this case.
Right. Each defendant needs their own representation.
So instead of being maybe $250,000 for all six, it's more like $1.5 million potentially, or maybe even more.
It could be that high.
Yeah.
So. And, if you're unable to contribute, just go ahead and share the crypto6.com on your social media, that kind of thing. Help out, in any way that you can. We'll talk more about Ian's potential release. There has been a bond ordered, but there are some stipulations in the bond that need to be fulfilled before he can actually walk out of the Merrimack County Jail. And we'll talk more about that. But first, let's go to Bill calling from California. Bill, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Not much. We're doing a radio show. What's on your mind?
So you guys are like libertarians, anarchists, right? That whole crowd.
Some would say they're libertarians. Some would say anarchists. Some would say voluntarist.
I would say I'm an individual.
So here's the deal, guys. Here's what's going on, folks. Jack, I think that your ideology is inherently anti-Semitic. Because me, as a Jew, right? Because without the government, who's supposed to?
That's just completely ludicrous. That's so stupid.
Look, we're God's chosen people, right? 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust, and I think that's despicable that you guys advocate for an ideology where we are not protected.
The ideology would be against Hitler.
Huh?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
So hang on, Bonnie. Hang on. Bill.
This is obviously
hey, Bill.
a troll, but
Yeah, of course it is. Hang on, Bonnie. I will mute you if I have to.
Are you denying the Holocaust?
Bill.
6 million Jews died.
Bill, what evidence do you have that links libertarian to anti-Semitism?
Because who's supposed to protect us?
Because what?
Who's supposed to protect us?
Well, you're supposed to protect yourself. Take responsibility for that. Thanks for the call, Bill. Yes. Troll Talk Live. All right, so you had some more information about... No, you didn't?
I didn't. Did you want me to read the rest of the stipulations for his bail?
Well, we don't need to read them all out loud on the air. We should tell people where they can find it, though.
I don't know how people can
Is
find
that
it.
court report?
Court Listener?
Court Listener, yes, thank you.
Yeah, if you go to the Court Listener, Ian Freeman versus the United States docket, I guess.
There's a better place to go. So go to thecrypto6.com. And there is a link now for Telegram to join the updates room. And in the updates room on Telegram, there is a link directly to this document.
Excellent organization. Yes.
Much more professional than.
Yeah, that was better than anything I could have said.
I get it from my friends who find it, who are smart.
Yeah, I do this. People much smarter than me have supplied it to me in some way, shape, or form, and then I read it. All right. Well, I guess we could start with our topics tonight.
It's going to be Murder Talk Live tonight.
How so?
All of our stories are about murder.
Well, that's not
sounded
necessarily false.
The more I go back in time, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But you know what I mean. Like, that's what the stories are. The topic of the stories we've got for the night.
This is from ksat.com. And I bring this in because there should be some discussion about, we'll call it the libertarian, the anarchist, the voluntarist perspective of the events that happened here. KSAT, I believe, is a station in, is it Texas? You might know more about that than I do, Bonnie.
KSAT sounds like K San Antonio, yeah.
Yeah. So the headline reads, man fatally shot Texas deputies because they were in his yard for dog complaint, witness says. The witness also says the suspect told deputies he would shoot them before he opened fire. Now, what does that mean? Let's find out. A West Texas man accused of fatally shooting 2 sheriff's deputies was angry they were in his yard trying to catch a dog and he told them he would open fire if they didn't leave, a witness said. They walked up towards him, rushed him, and he pulled a gun, and shots were fired, David Hutchings told the San Angelo Standard-Times. The shooting happened Monday evening in Eden, a city of about 1,300 people, roughly 210 miles southwest of Dallas. Officials say Concho County deputies Stephen Jones and Samuel Leonard were killed, and city employee Ronnie Winans was injured. DPS said Wednesday that Nicholas opened fire on Jones and Leonard after they, quote, made contact with him while responding to a dog complaint.
I definitely need more information on why the officers charged him.
Officials have said little else about what happened before the shooting, which is being investigated by the Texas Rangers. Jeffrey Nicholas, 28, is jailed in nearby Tom Green County Detention Center on 2 charges of capital murder of a peace officer. Hutchings, a city employee who helps with animal control, told the newspaper that the officers were helping city employees collect 2 dogs that had bitten someone earlier in the day. The deputies had already caught one of the dogs, and the other one ran into Nicholas' yard. Hutchings said Nicholas did not own either animal. Nicholas told the deputies they could not enter his yard to get the dog and that they should, quote, get off his property and that he, quote, has civil rights, Hutchings said.
Well,
he said Nicholas told the deputies that he would shoot them, and then, of course, the shooting happened.
in my opinion, they don't have any right to go on his land to get this dog, even if it bit people. If he allowed them to, sure.
It is a good question. Is this, a sound libertarian position? What would you do as a libertarian?
I wouldn't shoot the cops for being on in my yard, but I also don't know why they charged him.
What's your opinion? Do you think this was justified, being that he told them to get off his property or he would shoot them? 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live on the way.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The Terran Federation and the Terran League have been killing each other for decades. Sheltered, wealthy, and light years from the threat, the members of the 500 have no interest in changing that. When Rear Admiral Terrence Murphy is given governorship of a backwater system, a risk-free path to wealth and power is his for the taking. But Murphy is a man of honor, duty, and responsibility. He intends to stop the killing, whatever the cost. Governor, by David Weber and Richard Fox, from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15% to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Welcome back to the show. It is Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio talk program where you can talk about anything that's on your mind. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160 if you'd like to get your voice on the air. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain. I'm your host. Joining me,
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
We've been talking about this article from KSAT.com out of Texas, where a man named, his last name I believe was Nicholas, had some deputies show up at his property looking for a dog that supposedly bit some people earlier in the day. And he greeted them. He said, "Hey, I don't want you on my property." They disagreed a little bit, and it looks like he told them, according to this article, that they should get off his property and that he has civil rights. And he warned them that if they didn't get off his property, he would shoot them. And then, according to this article, the officers charged him, and he opened fire, killing two of them.
And injuring another assistant.
The assistant, the animal control person.
Mm.
So I guess the question is, was this under libertarian principles was this libertarian? And the question is, I think it's kind of a complex one, because on the one hand, if it was, I don't know, a 6-year-old crossing your lawn, I would say no, that this is an excessive use of force.
Yeah, they cause no. They're not threatening. A 6-year-old is not threatening the way that armed thugs are.
On the other hand, we have the other side of this, where these are armed thugs on your property and they have no reason to be there.
Right. And so the question is, what's the right call here?
Well, what's the minimum amount of force that you would be able to use to get armed thugs off your property? That would be shoot them. Probably, right?
My gut says...
That's the minimum. That's the maximum, I think you meant to say, right?
Yep, right. Yeah.
I mean, no, because they weren't going to leave otherwise. These are cops.
I mean, you could, I don't know, throw a net on them and drag them away. Or, there's...
They have guns, too.
True. They
Understood.
I mean, if they were unarmed, maybe you could make some other argument that there could be less force that you could use, but I don't think so in this case.
So, Hutchings, who was a witness, apparently, to all of this, said that Winans, who is his boss, was shot in the stomach when a bullet went through the door of a city pickup. So I don't understand, like, if they charge him and he opened fire, how did he get shot through a door? So I'm not sure about that. The funeral for Leonard is set for Monday. That's the end of the article. So there are some comments here. Some will say this patriot was protecting his Second Amendment right and his property. Others will say a good cop was gunned down by a nutcase. Others will say, why did the cops rush this man? Cops are crazy. I don't,
I would never think rush this person who's just threatened to kill me. And
yeah, this seems like a situation that more than likely the sanest answer is not to go and shoot the cop. And that's a strategic move, not necessarily the moral thing, right? Sometimes it's not about morals. It's not about what's right. It's about what's the best outcome that you can achieve. And sometimes that doesn't necessarily mean defending yourself.
Staying out of a cage.
We could talk more about this, but first let's go to John calling from New Hampshire. John, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, you guys. How you doing?
Pretty good. What's on your mind tonight?
Yeah, so I just heard that last caller. One of them, he said he was a Jewish fella, a Semitic fella. And he said that the problem is that who's going to protect them? But, as you guys rightly said, the government was the one who killed all them Jews.
Yep.
That's true. So it seems. And, like, whose responsibility is it to protect anybody? Well, yours, right? It's your responsibility to protect yourself. It's your responsibility to protect your family, for example, your community, right? A lot of people don't understand this. They just want to outsource it to them, right? To they, right? And this would be the cops, the government, and all that kind of.
I agree. I mean, someone needs to tell these Semitic fellas that the only people that can protect them are themselves,
I'm pretty sure that was just a troll call. I'm not going to talk about that in a way like, oh, that was an actual Jewish person, what they really believe. I think that's silly. I'm not going to talk about it like that.
Yeah, I'm a little bit skeptical that they were telling us the truth either.
So if anybody claims that somebody else has a right to, they have a right to somebody else protecting them, then I'm going to say, no, that's stupid.
What they have the right to is defense of themselves or to hire somebody to defend them. They don't have the right to force somebody else to pay for or defend them, through violence.
Go ahead, John.
I agree. And someone needs to tell these Semitic fellas that we're done trying to protect them. I'm an anarchist. I'm a libertarian. We're not protecting these Jewish fellas anymore.
Well, we shouldn't be protecting anybody. It's not just about the Jews.
Hey, thanks for the call tonight, John. I agree. Like, it's not a government's, like, people think it's a government responsibility to protect you because cop cars roll around with words written on them that says to protect and serve.
Well, the Supreme Court has repeatedly said that the cops have no obligation to protect you. So
Precisely.
Why are we paying their salary?
It has nothing to do with anybody's background, racial or religious, though. Just humans in general don't have a right to other people's labor, which includes protection.
Right. Now, if you want to hire an agency or persons, bodyguards or a security firm, something like that to provide.
That's your right.
Then that is a right that you certainly do have, and an ability that you do. Or, I don't know if you can afford it or whatever, but even so, there are ways that you
have
can,
the right to try.
You can DIY protect yourself, right? You can take self-defense classes. You can, invest in your own personal firearm. If you don't like the laws where you're at about firearms, you can move somewhere else where the laws are more friendly. Where, like New Hampshire, for example, you can open carry, you can concealed carry, all without a permit at any time. And in fact, when I moved here a couple of years ago now, I was surprised at the number of people that I saw open carrying, and even some who were concealed carrying that, like, they'd let their jacket open and I'd see that, that guy's carrying, that kind of a thing, or that girl's carrying. Oh, she's got one. I saw one. It was a girl jogging and she had on one of these like sports bras that are supposed to keep your your jiggly bits from jiggling around too much.
Oh my God.
But like on the front of it, in between, right in the center, was a holster, and she had a small, I'm guessing it was a small 9mm. She had a small handgun in the holster right in between,
That's so weird.
her sports bra.
Sounds awful.
While she's jogging. And I'm like,
How would that not just be jiggling around? That's awful.
Well, I mean, the
Sounds so
sports bra is
uncomfortable.
pretty tight, so like, But at any rate, like, I mean, this is a rape equalizer, right? There's a lot of women on planet Earth who are afraid of rapists and whatnot. Well, the easiest way for you to defend yourself against a rapist is to have a gun.
But why in between those? I don't know if I can say that on the air. Probably shouldn't.
I don't know, but somebody developed the product and she was using it. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live on the way.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Yes, welcome back. It is Bra Holster Talk Live, apparently. The telephone number here on Free Talk Live is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. One of our callers and chatters mentioned that the young lady we described who had the sports bra / gun holster while she was jogging should be nicknamed Breasticles. I thought that was hilarious. We talked a bit about this and the comfort level, and Bonnie, you had some opinions about it. We looked it up online just to see what it was, and it turns out it's not really right in between. It's sort of below, and it's the gun would be mounted at an angle, so quick draw, access, all that kind of thing.
And for weight distribution, it does make a lot of sense. Like if you're jogging, you don't want, something heavy on your, right hip.
Right.
Only.
And a lot of these holsters are made of, this polymer. It's a plastic, but it's pretty heavy, and some of them are loaded with springs and stuff like that, and locks and this kind of thing that adds to the weight, so that And
then guns are just heavy.
And then the gun itself is also heavy once it's in the holster. So yeah, it would be important.
It looks less, let's say, risque than what I was imagining. I was imagining something so weird.
I could just picture it.
All right, how do we get on that topic anyway? I don't recall.
We were talking about the guy shooting cops in his yard.
And then,
I have something to say about that before we
Yeah.
move on from that. I think the root of the issue is that dogs need more rights. Dogs should be able to run into yards, and the owner should be allowed to decide what they do with them from there instead of the cops.
It's funny you say that
killing
because
them.
one of the rebuttals that I have against people who are like, they want to wall off the border, right? It's like, well, okay, who's going to check the passport of the ducks that fly south in the winter when they come back, right? Do deer, do antelope, do they have to show passports when they cross from the United States into Canada?
Why is it just humans that
Why they have way more freedom of mobility and
don't they?
Than humans.
Seriously.
Never thought about it like that.
Humans are the only creature on planet Earth that respects man-made borders, right? They'll respect a border in such that it's a river, right? That they can't get across,
I mean, if they're physically unable to, but
Right,
animals
yeah.
that are physically able to will cross that without thought.
Right, exactly. Right. And so they won't honor it, right? But that's the only type of thing. And people will point to, oh, look, the Mississippi River is the border of 7 states or whatever it is, right? And it's well, it's a river, so it was convenient for them to use that as a border when they drew, on the map. But those borders of the states and countries only exist in the minds of human beings. Those borders do not exist in the minds of any other creature on planet Earth. It is a human construct.
And that's why cows will stand in the middle of the road when you're driving.
All right.
And deer.
That's true. They will look at you like deer caught in the headlights. Let's go to the phones. We actually have TJ the Spy calling from Colorado.
TJ.
Hey,
TJ, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey guys, it's a pleasure. I was just calling about Ian's bail hearing yesterday, so it looks like it's going to be $200,000 cash bond, and the ridiculous thing is the list of people that he's not allowed to talk to. Like he's not allowed to talk or communicate with Mark Edge or Patricia or Laura or Dara. It was just a huge laundry list of people he's not allowed to communicate
way
with.
worse
And I
than
thought,
that.
this is absurd.
It's way worse than that. It's 1/3 of Americans and every other person in New Hampshire.
Yeah, and I said, that's going to be imagine trying to run a business and you're not allowed to talk to your business partner.
Right, which is precisely the pigeonhole that they appear to be attempting to put Free Talk Live in. Now,
especially when talking is your business.
And the crazy thing about that too is that he was able to talk to all of these people. Right now, he's still able to talk to all those people. It's only upon release, I believe, that he can't. So it's what's the point of that?
Yeah, and and I may have a solution. For I think it was Matt has all the guns, and of course he's a tenant, and so I've been looking for all the laws that may apply when a landlord is under indictment and can't have guns, but one of his tenants has a gun. I'm not sure. It's up to the judge, but it's one of those things. I thought, if only they could put a lock on the door and say Ian doesn't have a key to the door, and that's a separate property now.
That's already the case,
the only hope
though.
he has of keeping his guns in the house, but otherwise he just might have to move, and that really sucks.
Yeah, the problem is that was already the case. There's a deadbolt on the door. It's already basically its own apartment. It's the choice of words that was being used, I felt, was objectionable during the hearings. The thing is, I think part of it is like there's only so many things you can object to, effectively. And at the end of the day, it wasn't something that they were objecting to.
Yeah. Well, there's only so many battles you can fight. I mean, I'm just grateful they're letting him out finally after 2 months, because I kind of miss hearing him on the radio.
Well, and we're not even certain that he's going to be able to broadcast at this point. We'll figure that out as time goes on. One of the things that, because Ian called me personally and he said, hey, I just want to make sure that we're keeping the host schedule sort of status quo. He's like, there's going to be a period of reacclimation, if you will. When he does get out, he needs to figure some stuff out about, how to live his daily life confined to the house.
How to continue employment.
Yeah, they tell him he needs to continue employment, but he can't talk to a large number of the major players that
in a talk
in
show.
his employ.
Yeah, it's like you can't use electronics, but you have to hold a job down. Like, what job doesn't have you at least clock in or something as part of that job, which uses probably an electronic device of some kind?
So there's a lot of stuff to sort out. We're just looking forward to him actually walking out, because it seems to me that the government is doing every possible thing to keep him behind bars for as long as they possibly can. Every potential delay that comes up in any of these hearings or whatnot is exercised. Not a one of them has been passed up.
They're angry. Like, they're super angry that he's being released. So they're doing, I think, everything in their power when they wrote up that proposed, set of conditions to ensure that he cannot survive on the outside.
I can't wait for him to be back, for me to hug him again, and for me to shave his beard off.
TJ, what else?
That is it, my friend. I was just calling and just saying, the other thing that really sucks is that they rob you. They come in, they seize all your money, and then it's like, well, what do you post bail with? What do you post? Who do you pay your attorney with? And so I always thought that was very unfair that, the bill of particulars, they're moving to seize all of the property that was in a safe. And it's like, well, yeah, that's nice and convenient. Now that you're broke, you have to rely on your friends to post bail and pay your attorney fees.
Yeah, you would think that they would have been able to use the $170,000 or whatever it was of cash in the safe as a as a bond, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
Bond,
why should you have to put up your additional other properties, that you own, which clearly you can't, like, they can take them from you either way, effectively, at the end of the day.
And the other thing, to TJ's point, is that they're asking him for a certain number of things that he must pay for in the bond, the written thing. And like you said, TJ, he's poor now. They've taken his money.
I mean, all the phone calls he's made have been hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
And he's going to have to pay for his...
It. I wish you the best. Of course, I'm looking forward. I have the Bitcoin mascot. That'll be something we'll announce later on. I'm going to hold that on, but we do have a mascot for the trial coming up. And it'll be an interesting show. I intend to make it a 3-ring circus.
I look forward to it, TJ. Thank you for the call tonight. There's so many things that are just not right about the whole situation. I've never been this close to a case of this type in my life. So there's a lot of firsts for me. I'm learning a lot about the process. There's some really smart people that have surrounded us who know a lot about the process that I'm learning from.
TJ is one of them.
TJ is one of them.
Yeah, definitely.
There's some other people that have experience going through this type of thing that I'm learning a lot from. So I want to say thanks to those people as well. But most importantly, Let's get Ian out of jail. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is on the way. On March 16th of this year, a joint government task force raided the New Hampshire Bitcoin Embassy, the Mighty Moose Mart, the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Andy and Renee Spinella, Colleen Fordham, a grandmother, and perhaps most relevant, the studios of Free Talk Live. The Crypto Six were arrested, most were released, but Rich Paul, also known as Nobody, and Ian Freeman both remain in custody. We've been in contact with attorneys that say no crime even appears to have been committed, but that didn't stop the Joint Thug Task Force from ripping out wires from the back of our broadcast stacks, taking Free Talk Live off the air, violating our and your First Amendment rights. You can go to thecrypto6.com and donate to fight against these charges. But as importantly, contact media and tell them about this outrage. This case is likely to set precedent for the use of cryptocurrency well into the future. Help our fight for liberty and financial freedom at thecrypto6.com.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Welcome back. It is Free Talk Live. The telephone number here in the studio, if you'd like to get on the air and talk about anything that's on your mind, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, I am your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
I can tell that you're tired because normally you're like, it's Bonnie. And like tonight, it's Bonnie. You're like,
I'm really tired. I feel
You know how people
crazy.
from California always like, not always, but a lot frequently, they'll do the end of their sentence as a question, right?
I don't know.
They'll do it as a question. This is Free Talk Live, right? You know, they'll do that. Yeah.
One of our friends said that if I had an accent, it would be like a California accent. I think that's crazy because that's like, I've been in that state once for like a couple days.
Yeah, your lack of accent is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'm from the United States. Basically, I'm a military brat.
Oh, that explains it.
Yeah. I mean, like when I first met Bonnie, I'm from Texas. I'm like, you're kidding. Because she does. Normally, people in Texas, they got that Texas drawl.
I don't even know anyone in San Antonio with a Texas draw, though. It's just like a huge city that has 1.6 million people in it.
I've been to Dallas. I spent 2 weeks there.
Dallas is Oklahoma.
No,
basically.
Dallas is Texas.
Nope.
It's
You're wrong.
Texas
Wait, what?
is the largest state in the lower 50.
Nope.
Yes, it is.
I think you're wrong. And Dallas is Oklahoma.
Dallas is
Or Louisiana, whichever one wants it.
Oklahoma is a little bit slower than Texas. Texas is a little bit faster. Whereas Alabama, it's all very nasally and Opelika and all that kind of stuff. Right?
Opelika.
Yeah. Tennessee and Alabama are very similar, but it also changes as you get into like North and South Carolina
They
as
have
well.
nice like accents, southern accents. Like Angie, the co-host.
Yeah.
I just love to hear her talk.
Yeah.
It's calming and nice.
All right, so we were talking about this article from KSAT where a man, some cops came to his property. They were chasing a dog that supposedly bit some people. He said something along the lines of, the dog isn't here. I'm going to need you to leave my property or else I'm going to shoot you. The cops didn't leave his property, so he shot and killed him. We've talked a little bit about, what's the libertarian or voluntarist perspective on that. And, we could talk more about that if you want. But I wanted to also talk about this article because they're similar in some ways. This person didn't kill any cops, though, but this is from the AP, apnews.com. Mom accused of killing her 2 kids had been under scrutiny. Now, they've changed the headline. The original headline was, Mom accused of killing her 2 kids with meat cleaver.
Yikes.
This is out of Phoenix. An Arizona woman accused of killing her 2 children with a meat cleaver became the subject of a child services investigation 2 months ago, and at one point had been taken to a psychiatric hospital, child welfare officials said Tuesday. The Arizona Department of Child Safety said in a statement that the agency was alerted on March 2nd about a case of neglect in suburban Phoenix involving, I'm going to butcher her name, it's Yui Inoue, age 40, after she and her 7-year-old son Kai went missing from the family's apartment in Tempe. Police found them behind a convenience store. Inoue was taken to a psychiatric hospital and the boy was returned to his father. Officials did not say how long she was hospitalized or provide any details on her release. An Arizona DCS investigator later interviewed the family, but did not report finding any visible signs of child abuse or neglect involving the boy or his 9-year-old sister, Mia. Both children, they said, felt safe with their parents, according to the statement. Citing a lack of evidence, the agency opted not to remove them from the home. The investigation was still considered open when the children were found dead Saturday.
Huh.
There's more to this article, but we can start the discussion here. I have a big problem with child protection services only because I've seen the opposite side of that, where I've been in a foster care home and somebody from CPS has to come in and check and, do all these things. It's very invasive, not only to the foster parents, but also to the kid, because you're like, you get afraid of this government entity when you're a young child. And so, I have that perspective from the opposite side. It's also incredibly easy for anybody. I don't know, you don't like your new neighbors who just moved in, they got kids or something. You can, make an anonymous call to CPS and go, I saw them abusing their children. And CPS is going to show up and launch an investigation and potentially take children away from their families when they shouldn't.
As tempting as it might be, it seems like a very, very bad idea.
It just seems like this woman in this case had some kind of a mental break that maybe there was no like real evidence of before other than the one incident. And you can't start taking people's kids away for one weird, odd incident of somebody disappearing. Yeah, and I just feel like a story like this with all its, buzzwords like meat cleaver and all, is just a story that comes out to try to convince people that we need the government to be more invasive so that we can prevent
in this
these
particular instance, though, the government paid a visit, didn't find anything, and then just sort of left.
Yeah, so that's what people are going to try to take out of this. Like, oh, they need to be able to do more. They need to be able to, even if there's just one incident, they need to be able to take the kids away.
I think the problem comes down to the government does more harm than good.
Yep.
And it's, I don't necessarily think that the government would have ever had any chance of actually like saving these kids anyway. But at the same time, the problem is that they then do bad too. So it's like, if it ends up being more bad than good, then why even have him at all?
I agree. The article continues, as the community is struggling to grasp the tragic death of the two innocent siblings, the department is caring for staff who have also been impacted. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. The agency said, our prayers go out to the family and all who knew Mia and Kai. Of course, yes, niceties, etc., and so on. We're so heartbroken. Police had been called to the family's apartment earlier Saturday about a domestic dispute involving the husband and wife. At the time, officers said there was no apparent reason to call child welfare authorities. It's not clear if the officers were aware of the ongoing investigation. Tempe police did not immediately respond to a request seeking comment. Later that morning, Inoue went to a Tempe police station and said she was hearing voices telling her to kill her children, according to charging documents. Officers went to the apartment and found the mutilated bodies of the children under a blanket and boxes. Her husband, who has not been identified, told police that the couple had filed for divorce in April and had argued the night before over money she wanted so she could move to Japan. He said she threatened to stab him, so he left just after midnight and slept in his car in the parking lot. He said he did not think she would harm their children. Inoue is facing 2 counts of first-degree murder. She's currently being held on a $2 million cash bond. It was unclear Tuesday if a court-appointed attorney had been assigned to her case. Students, teachers, and others in the Tempe School District where the children were students were devastated by their deaths. Counselors are being made available, etc., and so on. Moments like this remind us that life is precious. You get the idea.
Let me tell you what I'm hearing from this article, and you can call me the resident conspiracy theorist on the show tonight, but this is what I'm hearing.
Wait, can I call you that before you say anything?
Yes.
Okay.
So, a woman is forced to go into psychiatric hold. Then she starts hearing voices, and nobody thought that she would hurt her kids, and she kills her own kids. Are those two things related? She's put into psychiatric hold, suddenly does something that even the person closest to her probably would never think that she would do.
Well, she said she was hearing the voices when she turned herself in.
Yeah, that was after she was in psychiatric hold. She was in psychiatric hold for the evaluation, at least.
I thought she killed the kids and then got
when she was found behind the convenience store.
Right, they did do an eval on her after that.
Here's what I'm hearing.
They said that there was no evidence, and so they just, let it be. And then, on this particular evening, the husband and the wife had some sort of a squabble. The husband said, "Okay, I'm just going to go sleep in the car."
Because she tried to threatened to stab
him. Right. They filed for divorce, so they were arguing about money. She wanted to move to Japan. And so at some point she turned herself in. And of course,
she had already killed the kids.
She had already done the thing, right? So, what is the libertarian perspective here? What is the, voluntarist perspective? In Ancapistan or Libertarianistan, how would this type of a situation be handled? There would be no government authority known as Child Protection Services. So how does one get mental health? How does one, figure out if children are in danger? More Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is on the way.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There's talk of a ceasefire. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. There are reports that the last week and a half of fighting between Israel and Hamas militants in Gaza could be winding down. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says publicly, though, it'll take as long as it takes to stop rocket attacks into his country.
Plane after plane took off from an Israeli air base on bombing runs to Gaza, Israel claiming to have hit over 800 terror targets there and killing some 130 militants. But it's the havoc which has been heaped on Palestinians that really has the world concerned. Women and children killed, shortages of food, water, power, and medicine, thousands homeless, even missing.
Fox's Greg Palkut in Tel Aviv, Israel. A report from Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee finds significant circumstantial evidence that the coronavirus that's been spreading around the world leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China. California Congressman Devin Nunes tells Fox if you look at reporting from around the world on the origins of the virus,
all signs point to the lab. That's all we really have to go on because our intelligence community, once again, has failed us.
The Chinese government claims the virus occurred naturally, jumping to a human from some other species. 35 House Republicans joined Democrats passing a bill to create a commission to investigate the January 6th attack at the Capitol. Republican leadership opposes the idea. 2 former Colorado police officers now face charges for how they handled a woman with dementia during her arrest last year.
73-year-old Karen Garner suffered arm injuries after 2 Loveland officers, Austin Hopp and Daria Jalali, arrested her for leaving a store without paying. Prosecutors say Hopp covered up excessive force use, while Jalali never reported it. Sarah Schalke, an attorney for the family,
this is not an excessive force case. It's torture.
She accuses Loveland Police Chief Robert Ticer of being part of a cover-up. Ticer says he supports the counts against the now former officers who resigned in April.
Fox's Gernal Scott. America's listening to Fox News.
At Peter Millar, we're devoted to elevating your casual everyday style. This season, our clothing channels a more relaxed look and feel, with the same exceptional craftsmanship that has always inspired us. Discover the new face of sophisticated casual with Peter Millar. Browse the entire collection today at petermillar.com and explore all new designs for spring. Get free shipping, effortless returns, and receive a complimentary gift with your purchase at petermillar.com/foxnews. petermillar.com/foxnews.
National Guard troops could be replaced on the southern border this fall.
Approximately 4,000 troops are scheduled to depart the southern border by September 30th, but that could change after a request from the Homeland Security Department. The Military Times reports they could be replaced with active duty service members, but Pentagon spokesman John Kirby wouldn't confirm that, saying, "I won't speculate on what the answer to the request will be or how it will be sourced." Former President Trump sent active duty troops to the border when he declared a national emergency. President Biden has canceled the emergency. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
Millions of people in Texas and Louisiana are under flash flood warnings for a couple more days.
Another day of heavy rain will bring the risk of flooding over the Gulf Coast and Mississippi Valley through Saturday. More wet weather over saturated ground will be a major concern. Strong to severe thunderstorms will be possible for sections of the northern and central plains with large hail, damaging winds, and isolated tornadoes. Late season snow is in the forecast for the higher elevations over the Northwest, the Northern Rockies, and the mountains of California. Dry weather, hot temperatures, and gusty winds will continue to fuel the risk of wildfire danger for the Great Basin and the Southwest. I'm Janice Dean, Fox News.
Amazon faces more accusations of racial or gender discrimination, harassment, and retaliation.
5 women working in management positions at Amazon warehouses or corporate offices filed federal lawsuits against the online retailer, saying the company favored men over women in career opportunities and retaliated after they complained.
Here is the Onion Weekend Review Transportation Edition. In Albany, a Greyhound bus crash claimed 30 miserable lives Tuesday, finally putting over 24 deadbeat fathers, penniless drug addicts, and hapless bastards out of their misery. Emergency crews at the scene of the merciful accident described the sea of fast food bags, candy bar wrappers, and losing lottery tickets surrounding the crash site as utterly tragic, adding that the scorched corpses inside the bus were, quote, only slightly more lifeless than before the deadly accident.
Evidence suggests that most of the victims suffered during the crash, and for many years before they even boarded the bus. All I can say is, thank God no one made it.
Al-Qaeda is refusing to carry out any further terrorist attacks until the U.S. mass transportation infrastructure is drastically improved, calling the country's roads and bridges a, quote, travesty, unbecoming of a developed first world nation.
We want to turn your bridges into rubble. But if we took credit for making them collapse, no one would ever believe us.
This is the Onion News Network.
If you're the parent of a man-child, you know how frustrating it can sometimes be. The piercing sound of his video games waking you up at 2 a.m, his insatiable hunger and inability to cook anything for himself, the messes he makes. The stress can be overwhelming.
Something will set them off, such as their man-child will tell them that they don't know how to tie a tie even though they're almost 30. They'll start shaking them and yelling and saying, "What the hell is wrong with you? Why don't you get a real job instead of working part-time at a board game store?"
The results of shaken man-child syndrome are devastating. Trauma caused by the brain colliding with the inside of the man-child's skull can lead to cognitive disabilities, making it even more unlikely he'll finally marry the girl he's been having a long-distance online relationship with for 6 years. Or it can even lead to death.
He's not spilling cereal all over the couch or leaving his beard clippings in the bathroom sink intentionally. He truly does not know what he's doing.
For the Lab Report, I'm Stuart Adams.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live.
I'm sorry, what?
Free Talk Live.
There you go. Say it like you mean it. Gosh, I wonder what the name of this radio program is. If only 3 or 4 different people would say it while the intro music was playing to let people know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is Free Talk Live. The telephone number here is 603-283-6160. If you'd like to call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. We've been talking about all sorts of stuff. You can comment on any of that or anything our callers have called about, or you can change the subject entirely. It's up to you. It's called Free Talk Live for that reason. We do have a call on hold. We'll get to that in just a moment. In the studio tonight, I am your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
it's Bonnie.
And Chris.
And on March 16th of 2021, terrorists, calling themselves government agencies, conspired together and no-knock raided and did a whole bunch of damage, by the way, to these buildings. The Free Talk Live studio, the Bitcoin Embassy, and the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Renee and Andy Spinella, and Colleen Fordham. 6 people were arrested. We call them the Crypto 6. They were taken into custody. 4 of them were released on some sort of bail conditions, but Ian Freeman and Nobody, that's a person named Nobody, formerly Rich Paul, both remain in cages. What can you do to help? Well, you can visit thecrypto6.com. There are multiple ways in which you can donate to their legal defense fund. There's links to various information. There's folks have put together a T-shirt, these charges are not a joke. There's a lot of people who are very much in support of defending these people from these charges. It's going to take some serious legal effort and many experts to protect them from further aggression from the state, because this case is very likely to set precedent that will affect the world of cryptocurrency for decades to come. You can help them fight for liberty and financial freedom by visiting thecrypto6.com. Again, thecrypto6.com.
Every day, like, something pops up into my head when I remember that the government broke into my house at 6 a.m. and woke me up and stole my boyfriend and my phone. I think to myself, like, is this possible? This is a dream? And I'm like, no, it's not.
Windows, like, not just break a couple of windows. They pulled the entire window from his frame.
Yep.
They used military equipment.
2 Bearcats armed with battering rams.
They flew in like military-style drones through the windows.
Which are very loud. They sound like chainsaws. They demanded that I go outside naked in 20-degree weather until Ian stood up for me.
I think they had less, in the military, they are more reserved about, like, killing people and hurting people than these guys were.
These people were, they loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was crazy. 56,
they were getting high.
56 FBI agents here.
Yeah. Statists get high off of their statist actions. They get a rush, right? Particularly when it comes to something like a no-knock raid, right? They've been planning this for a while, and they were looking forward to it. They were
5 years.
Getting ready. Yeah, we're finally going to do it. We're going to bash in some doors and freak some people out, man. Get some of that action, right? So, please visit thecrypto6.com. We can talk more about that. I also, we covered this bit before the top of the hour in the previous segment about this mom who is accused of killing her 2 kids with a meat cleaver. And we asked, what you guys thought about that from sort of the libertarian or voluntarist perspective. I want to hear those answers.
It's bad.
I want to hear those answers. But first, we have a very important call holding. It's Bitcoin Gandhi calling. Bitcoin Gandhi, you're on Free Talk Live.
Namaste all. Hello. I believe it is now day 12 of my 24-day civil disobedience march in protest of the attack on Free Talk Live.
Thank you so much for doing what you're doing, Bitcoin Gandhi. We appreciate it. The Crypto 6 appreciate it. Free Talk Live appreciates it.
You're getting a lot of attention out there for the case, so thanks so much. It's awesome.
It's amazing. I can't believe you've been out there for 24 days.
12 days.
Oh, 12 days. I misheard you. Okay. That makes a lot more sense to me because I'm like, how could it possibly be that long?
I wish to address the tomorrow, by the way, we are scheduled to visit Hinneka Police Department at 1 p.m. To deliver them our request that they cease cooperation with the central government of the United States. And this will be the 3rd department that we have delivered such a request to. I wish it could have been more, and I think it will be as we move forward. But I did want to address another issue related to this, and that is one of the reasons why I am doing this, that we have not discussed much on Free Talk Live, and that is the importance of enforcing nonviolent discipline. Sergej Popovich and even Yorovich, the men perhaps most responsible for stopping Slobodan Milosevic and saving millions from death in additional wars, believe that it is one of the 3 pillars of any movement. If you do not have it, you will fail. And I have been struggling with how do we enforce nonviolent discipline inside our movement. There is not a great deal of trouble in terms of actual violence being used, but there have been threats of a sort made. And unfortunately, one of the persons who is most commonly calling for violence against the government is Rich Paul, one of the former co-hosts or arrested co-hosts of Free Talk Live. And I've been struggling with how to deal with people like him They are not war criminals. They're not bad people. They have their hearts in the right place, but they wish to do something or to advocate something that undermines our movement.
I think that's stretching things a bit, and it's been manipulated into what you're claiming, but I don't necessarily think I've heard Rich say some things, on the radio and everything, but I think in context they were not quite what he was meaning was not quite what people were hearing.
I definitely don't remember a case where he called for it.
Yeah,
he said like that he thinks it's time and things like that, but that's not the same as saying I want this to happen. I've never heard him say he wants it to happen.
This is an expression of anger that I think he may have been expressing on a number of occasions, as opposed to advocating for actual violence. The thing that makes one a libertarian is that you advocate for peace. So last I checked, he is and was advocating for peace.
Well, I believe that it is in goal. To me, the statements he has made were significantly troubling. That I have a regimen that I have begun establishing for the last 2 months, by which I believe we can, on an individual basis, enforce nonviolent discipline within our movement. And that is I think, for me, I give a warning to a person if they have made a threat of some kind or of advocation of violence against the government. If I hear it, I am issuing warning to that person.
Okay, so step one, warning, right?
I will no longer support them with letters and so forth in jail and so forth if they continue making such claims. Mr. Paul has not made such a claim since I have warned him, but I have issued a warning to him. And although I am writing him quite a bit, I do intend to stop writing him if I hear him make such a claim again or such an advocation for violence.
Okay.
It might have been effective because he has seemed to be a lot more calm.
Yeah,
yes.
I don't feel like he's had a history of advocating violence, and so taking a comment out of context and so on. While I do agree that he said some things that came off as a bit concerning, I don't think it reached the level of...
The focus here shouldn't necessarily be on nobody. What Bitcoin Gandhi here is trying to get at is what are effective methods of enforcing discipline, nonviolent discipline amongst our community. It's a good topic. Do you have time to hold on, Bitcoin Gandhi?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to put you back on hold. We'll pick this conversation up on the other side. 603-283-6160. Are you familiar with any methods of enforcing nonviolent discipline? Give us a call. Let us know. This is Free Talk Live. More with Bitcoin Gandhi coming up.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Don't worry about things you can't control. Isn't that what they always say? But it's about impossible to avoid worrying about what's going on these days. The government has used the war on guns, the war on drugs, and the war on terrorism to tear our Bill of Rights to shreds. But you can fight back. The 10th Amendment Center has proven it, racking up major victories. For example, when the U.S. government claimed authority in the NDAA to have the military kidnap and detain Americans without trial, the nullifiers got a law passed in California, declaring the state's refusal to ever participate in any such thing. Their latest project is offnow.org, nullifying the National Security Agency. They've already gotten model legislation introduced in California, Arizona, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Kansas, meant to limit the power of the NSA to spy on Americans in those states. We'd be fools to wait around for the U.S. Congress or courts to roll back Big Brother. Our best chance is nullification and interposition on the state level. Go to offnow.org, print out that model legislation, and get to work nullifying the NSA. The hero Edward Snowden has risked everything to give us this chance. Let's take it. Offnow.org.
The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to Free Talk Live, the live radio call-in program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about anything that's on your mind. The telephone number, if you'd like to get your voice on air, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
We were talking with Bitcoin Gandhi about how to enforce non-violent discipline. And let's bring Bitcoin Gandhi back on the line. Bitcoin Gandhi, you're back. Can you hear us? Bitcoin Gandhi?
Are you there, oh great one?
Mr. Gandhi? Well, the line is occupied, and everything is unmuted properly.
It's possible that he dropped off the line,
yeah, maybe.
but it's still showing.
If he's on the way to Henniker, isn't there like a lot of dead?
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
All right, welcome back. So we were.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yep.
we can. Thank you. We were discussing.
I'm so sorry.
We were discussing methods or ideas for enforcing nonviolent discipline. You, of course, had mentioned step one. Send a warning to a guy. Somebody does something that you disagree with or that might be detrimental to, the philosophy of freedom, the idea of voluntary interaction, give a guy a warning. Say, hey, man, I think this is wrong. What other things did you have in mind?
I could not find any lists or suggestions or speeches on this topic. Only many people saying that it needs to be done. Just no one would say how it could be done. So I had to invent it myself, or at least try. But I posted a suggested protocol at forum.shiresociety.com, which you can find there. It's called Enforcing Nonviolent Discipline. And again, for me, the protocol is warning issued, to the person making the inappropriate statements or having done something violent, perhaps. And then after that, a cutoff of support. But it's really that simple, and it's just a question of whether quite a few of us do that sort of thing or not, right? If 10 or 20 liberty activists who normally write to prisoners in jail stop writing them, that is going to have a heavy effect on the prisoner. And these are the people who do get arrested, right? The ones who are making the blowhard threats.
That's a huge overstatement.
Yeah,
I would not say that. Ian has been the most peaceful of anyone in the movement, I'd say. Like,
yeah, Ian. I've never heard Ian, Arya, Colleen. Who else was
Andy
arrested?
or Renee.
Yeah, right.
Well, yes, you're right. I should say, I'm trying to say, they are usually among the people who get arrested and in trouble. If that makes sense.
I don't think there's that many violent people here. That's the problem. So when we're talking about maybe 2 people, 3 people at the most over the years.
To keep it back.
I'm sorry. When it comes to activism, you do put yourself in a position to potentially become arrested.
Right.
And I know that has occurred. Go ahead, Bonnie.
I was going to say, to get back to his actual question, though, like about the protocol, I do think that those are 2 good and simple steps. And, I think it's a useful thing that he's put it out there, because sometimes I do struggle with like how to even deal with like when people are doing something in the libertarian movement I disagree with. I'm like, what do I do about this? Because I don't want to control them, obviously. Like the other day, I kind of went like off on somebody in a Telegram group because they were annoying me because they weren't taking it seriously. And I just don't like when people don't take things, and when people don't take anything in their life seriously, and everything that comes out of their mouth is a joke and they're trolling, and this isn't a big deal. Like somebody made this good Telegram group that had a good purpose, and this guy was walking all over it, just blasting it with spam and stupid memes. And I was just like, this is kind of like, off the topic. Anyways, like that's not a violent thing, but I'd like to have a protocol for how I react to people in the liberty movement who are doing things that I disagree with and I don't like them doing.
I think this is a bigger than just, somebody doing something that's violent, because you can also do something that's not necessarily violent or advocating violence, but also something that's just distasteful. Like, so there's a gentleman in our community who is probably
not my community. I know who you're talking about. It's not remotely related to me.
Let me expand on this. People who interact with our community, who are, they don't have libertarian views, I don't feel, but we haven't really kicked them out, so to speak. And I think sometimes the best way to deal with these problems is to, one, try and contain the situation, but also lead by example, not to simply, ignore them or kick them out. And, it's one of these things that's kind of a hard thing to do, because these people can frequently be very annoying. They say they may be libertarian and they're clearly not.
They're mostly righties.
Yeah. But the thing is, if all you ever hear is racism, racist stuff, there's a much more likely chance you're going to be a racist. On the other hand, if you're leaning in the racist direction and you hear constantly you're hearing libertarian people
peaceful
talking,
ideas.
Peaceful ideas, right? Exactly. You're not going to be as likely to go in that direction. So I think to a large degree, trying to kick people out who say things or act in ways that are maybe inappropriate is not necessarily the best way to deal with it. And it should be more of a contain it, speak out against it, lead by example approach, as opposed to, this strict set of ostracization that, you might be advocating for.
Bitcoin Gandhi, your thoughts?
Well, I don't have much to add, except that there is a great deal of statistical evidence now in science behind the idea that peaceable revolutions are much more effective and have a higher success rate than violent ones. It has to do largely with the fact that many, many more people can participate in the peaceful movement.
Nice.
It gets complicated, but it really does, I think, justify some effort on the part of any revolution to make sure that it keeps itself peaceful.
I know that is my preference for any sort of, social or political change, is that it be peaceful and nonviolent. And thank you for the call, Bitcoin Gandhi, and thank you for your efforts for the Crypto 6. Keep us updated on your journey as you go. We're happy to take your call.
Safe travels.
Yeah, I don't even know if it would matter, whether it would make, like, even if it was strategically to your advantage to use violence, I don't think that's necessarily the answer anyway. But certainly I can, understand somebody's perspective of why they will get angry and act out violently.
It's one of the reasons I'm so enthusiastic about blockchain technology. Not necessarily even Bitcoin, not the cryptocurrency aspect of blockchain technology. It's just the fact that for the first time, we have infrastructure that supports decentralization. And decentralization allows for more autonomy for individuals.
Build back better.
Right. And so it's the Buckminster Fuller quote. I'm going to paraphrase, but instead of fighting the existing paradigm, build a better system, a better way, right? Build something superior to what currently exists, because you're not going to change anything by fighting what currently exists. You need to build something that does what they do, except better, in our case, a more voluntary way, which is exactly what the blockchain does.
Absolutely. Spot on.
603-283-6160 is the phone number if you'd like to comment and get heard here on Free Talk Live. We've got more for you coming up.
Karl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Karl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Karl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Karl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. We're on the air 7 days a week from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're not in the Eastern Time Zone, do some math. It's good for you. I hear it's healthy. Reach into your pocket and grab the magic rectangle that, contrary to my math teachers in 5th grade, who said, you'll never be able to carry a calculator with you wherever you go, so you have to learn this complicated mathematics. Yeah, you actually do carry a calculator with you wherever you go at this point in your life. So sorry to all the math teachers out there who used to say that. This is Free Talk Live. The telephone number is 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join us. I'm your host tonight, the Reverend Captain Kickass, and also in studio,
it's Bonnie.
And Chris.
You can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for Fork Fest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, but Fork Fest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. All you have to do is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. I can't think of a better place to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving people in the Shire. You can find out more about this at the unofficial website, forkfest.party. You can also connect with other attendees there using the unofficial Telegram link, and there's also the unofficial forum. Again, find links to those at forkfest.party. I hope to see you there. Come party with the captain and the rest of us. All right, so did you guys have any thoughts on, without government, how would, society prevent a mom from killing her 2 kids with a meat cleaver?
I feel like society couldn't do that. Like, why would other people?
I mean,
who
they
are
already
involved-
couldn't, right? So,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is, people will ask that. They'll say, "Well, they'll write this off as a failure of CPS because CPS went in there, they did an evaluation, they didn't find any evidence of anything, and so they just let it be." Which is, I think, the right thing. If there was no evidence, you just go ahead, return it to normal.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't get to control everything and make your environment perfect, and you just have to accept that there are risks in life, and there will be some people who die, some people who die early, some people who don't die. Sometimes you want people to die, but they're not going to die.
I mean, like normal people asking this question and viewing this as like a failure of government to intervene when they talked to her the first time. It's not possible because that would be like saying somebody who called like a hotline because they were feeling depressed and then later on went on to kill themselves. That's like saying the hotline failed that person. That's not true. When a person decides they're going to kill somebody or kill themselves, that's their personal decision. There's nothing any government entity or human being can do.
I don't feel like this was a failure issue on the government. Like, the government fails all the time, but the failure wasn't that they existed in the first place, CPS, not in, that they were actually ever going to be able to stop this from occurring.
I think that Chris's point earlier about what do they do? What they have more of a net bad than net good of what they do. So even if, I don't know, they were powerless to save these children from dying, but if for some reason we could think of a way that they could, I think they'd still be doing more damage. Like if they all of a sudden had the power to take kids away from any mother who had like a mental breakdown or whatever.
I mean, the problem is you are overly cautious, right? And then you undermine, families, and you damage kids, so to speak, right? Or you don't, and there is some risk that they might get killed, but that risk is really, really tiny. So, at the end of the day, if you're overly cautious, you're going to do more damage. And that's kind of usually what happens is an agency that's, the idea is you're going to protect kids is going to be overly cautious. And then they're going to go out and they're going to end up causing more harm to more kids. And whatever, if you even by chance save a few kids, right, you're going to damage a lot more than you've ever been able to save.
Yep.
So,
and the other thing I think that is so weird and people need to get over is that the idea that people who have organized and called themselves something have, more ability to control things and make good things happen than other people who didn't, organize and call themselves something, like the government.
Right.
Why are those people, who made those people superior to the other people? That just didn't happen.
Oh, they claimed their power themselves. They just one day got together and said, self-appointed. They just one day got together and said, hey, you know what? We're going to be in charge of y'all now.
Yeah, I think there are some things that can be done to reduce the amount of violence that happens like within families, but it's actually more about opening up and not making kids effectively. Now, it may not have worked in this case because the kids were 6 or 7 or something.
Yeah.
But at some point, and I know that people are gonna think this is absolutely crazy, but if you look at history and you look at other countries, there are places that don't have this welfare state basically, or their systems are weak or whatever, and you end up with kids being on the street. But the thing is, if a kid decides for themselves that it's better to live on the street than it is to live with their family, who's abusing them, that's their decision, I think, that to make, and it might end up saving their life.
And there's so many good people out there. I feel like in America today, there wouldn't be as many people who ran away from home and just ended up on the streets. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing, right? Like if you want to help save kids, well, then help them get off the street once they run onto the street, right? If that's where they end up.
Get involved in your community.
Right. It doesn't necessarily take a government entity. What it does take, though, is respecting the rights of young people to make decisions for themselves, when they're ready to make those decisions.
You make a good point, Bonnie, about, most people are generally speaking, they want to be good people or they are good people. And I think it was Peakless Mountaineer who brought this up when the internet was first coming on as a thing. There were a whole bunch of organizations who figured they would need to be an intermediary in between people who wanted to transact on the internet because of fear of, getting ripped off and this kind of thing. eBay specifically, there was a bunch of companies positioning themselves to be an intermediary for the exchange of money. Okay, you write a check and we'll hold on to it, and then eBay will send the thing, and, this kind of a thing. And all of those companies are out of business. Why are they out of business? It's because the overwhelming majority of all eBay transactions, regardless of the fact that they're anonymous to most people, or like people you've never met before, you have no idea where they live, what they're about, what they do, all those transactions are overwhelmingly honest, which was unexpected from the time. So this is evidence that, despite what your TV tells you out there, listeners, I'm talking to you if you're listening to this program, the best thing that you could do, in my opinion, is turn off your TV and go say hello to your neighbors.
That's kind of why I had to stop watching what South Park calls murder porn.
Yes.
Just like all those TV shows about and then this guy killed this girl and she was walking outside, she disappeared and her family couldn't find her. I had a little moment where I was kind of addicted to listening to those, and I had to sit there and be like I went and got a stun gun and stuff like that. I was like, why am I getting so scared in my own house now, and I wasn't before, and I'm really looking at everybody when I'm walking around like they could be a murderer. I need to stop. I had to self-evaluate and force myself to stop listening to those stories.
Yeah.
There are people who are real addicted to that.
Fear porn is, I've always found it so disgusting.
I've always hated it when my mom did it.
Yeah, it gives us this environment where we feel like we have to have somebody to protect us. Or we have to have somebody, protect our kids or, our family or whatever. Yeah. And the reality is, most of us at least, outside of, some people living in some dangerous areas, are really pretty safe,
It's true. And then if you just self-evaluate, like Bonnie said, and take personal responsibility for your own protection, for your family's protection, if you have a family or are part of a family, that's going to go a long way to making you feel more secure in society. 603-283-6160 is the number. Final segment of Free Talk Live is coming up.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You can't win if you don't enter, and you actually can improve your chances of winning a prize drawing if you wrinkle up your entry blank. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com, and I speak from experience. Why this works: if they'll be spinning the drum before drawing, your entry blank will move around more than, and not adhere to, other perfectly flat entry blanks. And if they don't spin the drum and merely reach into a box full of other perfectly flat entry blanks, many of which are sticking together, yours will feel different to the person reaching in. When you win, act surprised. And if you're looking for work, this is a metaphor. For more tips on sticking out in a world where just too much blends into the blah, 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 hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Yes, welcome back to Free Talk Live. We're a live internet and radio program. Not necessarily in that order. We've been a radio program for well before the internet was available.
I don't know if I go that far.
Well, okay, but it was a radio program first.
The early days of the internet, let's put it that way.
And then even the podcast has been around since like podcast was a word.
It predates podcast.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, predates the word.
So we have a caller on hold, and we'll get to her in just a minute. But we're here 7 days a week, 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. Eastern Time, taking your calls as always. In the studio tonight for this final segment, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
And as usual, we like to say thank you to an amplifier every night. Now, if you're a musician like me, you might have an idea in your head of what an amplifier is. But no, that's not the idea. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. And people who help us advertise, market, and promote are called amplifiers. And you can find out all about the AMP program over at amp.freetalklive.com. But I want to say thank you tonight to Big Kahuna. Big Kahuna is a gold level amplifier, which means he gives $10 a month. We only ask for 5. You don't have to give 10. You can give more than 10 if you want, but the minimum is 5 because we just figured it's harder to process anything less than 5. But if you do contribute $5 or $10 to the amplifier program, you get some perks. There's a special Free Talk Live Facebook group you can join, and a free or amplifier only podcast and that type of a thing. But the real reason is to help us get on more radio stations. We're on about 200 radio stations now. We could be on more. We could be on 250. We could be on 300 or more. It's up to you. Every dollar that comes in through the amplifier program goes directly to get this program onto more radio stations. So if you've enjoyed any of our content, our hosts and co-hosts, if you've learned something or just been entertained, and you want to help spread the message of liberty, peace, and freedom, please consider becoming an amplifier over at amp.freetalklive.com. Thank you again, Big Kahuna. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Big Kahuna.
You're awesome.
Let's go to the phones. We've got Josie calling from Richmond. Josie, you are on the air at Free Talk Live.
Hi, good evening. I'm so angered by what our government is starting to do little bit by little bit by little bit. The latest that I've heard is the people who were there on January 6th, and I don't know if they stormed the Capitol or didn't. I know one who did not do anything except pray, and he was shanghaied off to a little closet of a prison in Delaware somewhere. But others are still there, and they just are in this solitary confinement, which is what you do to the worst of your prisoners. But anyhow, that's one thing that bothered me. And then I don't know the whole case of your situation with the Crypto 6, is it? But I do believe that no, you don't have money to what the lawyers normally charge. They're just out of sight. Way people don't have that much money. However, Dartmouth and other colleges are about to graduate some of their good students from law schools, etc. And I thought perhaps a professor could recommend one who's most promising, who could take the case for bare bones and would, or maybe not anything, maybe just to help himself get a reputation, a good reputation to get started in his law career.
Like a pro bono case or something like that? I understand.
Something like that, yeah. I thought that perhaps that would be of help, or maybe you, if you need more than one lawyer, you get more than one student,
we
they
need
could
a team.
work together.
Yeah,
for each.
Yeah, we certainly need, the way things are panning out, it seems that each one of them needs their own representation, so their own attorney or attorneys. At least one of them right now is still using a court-appointed attorney, to my knowledge. Maybe more.
That's correct.
I'm not 100% sure if it's just one or if
I believe it's just one.
Yeah.
And then you need a separate somebody to sue the people who broke all the windows and others in your studio.
That's unfortunately
I think that was uncalled for.
It was, but it's unfortunately a losing case legally, because they basically can do whatever they want and they have no liability in that.
Well,
in that respect.
That may not be true. I know Mark
Maybe
has
we could make it a
discussed it.
liability somehow. I don't know. That would be a question to ask.
Well, usually they don't.
They did do.
Mark has discussed
do it
it as a First Amendment violation, freedom of speech.
Now that is a case maybe, but it's doubtful.
So
they would have to like knowingly
The Fourth Amendment violation, because your effects should be in order, not like they left it.
Agreed.
So I kind of think it would be a Fourth Amendment right.
Should
and
be.
then the others could be a First Amendment right. All I know is these people languishing in prison because they were there on January 6th, very upset because none of the judges would even listen to their arguments on the major high stealing of votes to get the pretend president that we have in there installed. I mean, that's beyond the pale, in my opinion. People languishing in a little tiny closet it's not a regular jail even. It's a really small place. They can't even take showers, I think, at least unless maybe once a week they walk down a hall or something. I don't know the whole story. But I know that one man is now out and all. He never entered the Capitol, and they had him in there for 10 days in Delaware, and he did nothing but pray outside of the Capitol building, and they still picked him up. So after all this summer last year, when they had looting and burning and they got nothing, they got no jail time. That's so like a night and day, like you're in another country or something, and this is supposed to be America.
I don't like pointing to other people that should have got more jail time than they did. I just say get rid of the government that has the ability to indiscriminately throw people in cages.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
It bothers me too, Josie. And thanks for the call tonight. We appreciate it. It bothers me too that there is an organization that does this to people repeatedly. They're continuing to do it. They're doing it, and people don't know about it. These are just overt examples that Josie gave where it happens. Guantanamo Bay is still open, for F's sake.
Wait, are you serious? I thought they closed that.
I remember.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, on a show me and Ian were both on one time. I mean, me and Ian and Mark were all on. They were talking about how Guantanamo Bay is still going on, and Mark was saying that it shouldn't be closed.
I'm surprised there's anybody left alive still. They're like open cages, aren't they?
I don't know.
Well, the government, you were talking about net positive or net negative earlier, or was it you?
It was me.
One of you guys was talking about
it's a net negative. Is what I was saying. As far as government,
large picture, big picture here. If you look at whether government overall is a net positive or a net negative to society, if you figure that out from a perspective of logic and a perspective of outcome, right? Like perceived, what is America's government supposed to do versus what they actually do, you will find, if you just think about it at a high level and you read the news and go through a little bit of logic progression, you'll find that government is largely a net negative. There's very little positive that governments do in the net.
Ask yourself this question: what has the government done for you? And then ask, what have you done for the government? Because I can assure almost every one of you is going to say to yourself, well, they've taken a lot of money from me, so that's a negative, right? And then the question is, what have they done positively for you? Because if you think, well, roads are a really, really small, tiny percentage of what they've taken from you financially. It's like
and you could
a
have
percent,
better
like 1%
roads.
or something like that.
You could have double-decker highways in the Texas highways and have less accidents right now if we were allowed to have private businesses build roads better.
Well, private businesses already build the roads.
Yeah.
It's just that the government controls how much and when.
How much and when and the plans and everything.
Right. There hasn't really been an innovation in the roadways of the United States since I've been alive.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. We could have one of those super fast trains from San Antonio to Austin, but you guys want to drive an hour and 40 minutes and get in 3 car accidents instead because you want to pay the government to pay somebody else to do it.
Yeah, and who knows if roads are even what would exist in the absence of government. Perhaps we'd already have transporter technologies by this point. Perhaps we would have some other way.
Jetpacks.
Jetpacks, perhaps hovercrafts that we were promised in the 80s that, of course, never came about. We are out of time. This has been Free Talk Live. Visit us at freetalklive.com. We're signing off. Thanks. Peace.
The Terran Federation and the Terran League have been killing each other for decades. Sheltered, wealthy, and light years from the threat, the members of the 500 have no interest in changing that. When Rear Admiral Terrence Murphy is given governorship of a backwater system, a risk-free path to wealth and power is his for the taking. But Murphy is a man of honor, duty, and responsibility. He intends to stop the killing, whatever the cost. Governor, by David Weber and Richard Fox, from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power. But there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
The latest episode of Questioning Authority is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There's talk of a ceasefire. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. There are reports that the last week and a half of fighting between Israel and Hamas militants in Gaza could be winding down. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says publicly, though, it'll take as long as it takes to stop rocket attacks into his country.